Hey, what's up? Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be doing this look here. We are going to basically be doing one side is high-end and one side is drugstore. The high-end side is this side here, the drugstore side is this side. Totals disclaimer. A lot of the high-end products, I think a few of the high-end products that I have are in travel size or kind of came in samples, so they aren't the full size, but I calculated prices as though you were to buy it in full size, and some of them came in like a pack. So for example, the Benefit, these two came together in a pack on Sephora for less money than if I was to buy them individually, but I kind of tallied this up as if you were going to buy everything individually and full size, and same with the drugstore side. So the expensive side, or the high-end side, costs around 615 Canadian dollars. Again, if you were to buy everything individually in full size. And the drugstore side, everything together, was around 113. So, I mean, I'll let you be the judge. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and let's get started. Okay, so this side is going to be the high-end side, and this side is going to be the affordable drugstore side. So for primers today, I'm going to be focusing on filling in pores. So for the high-end side, I'm going to be using the POREfessional by Benefit, and the main thing that it says it does is to minimize the appearance of pores. For the drugstore side, I'm going to be using the Wet n Wild Coverall Primer, and the first thing it says that it does is to refine pores as well, so I'm going to be priming it up, starting with the Benefit. Right away, this formula is very smooth. It is a bit waxy. I guess if you were to pick a good description word. Not waxy in a bad way, just like it's not runny. Okay. Now I'm gonna be using the Wet n Wild one. Okay, right away, just to give you, I guess, a comparison, this is Benefit, this is the Wet n Wild. See, the Benefit one is even skin color, waxy, and the Wet n Wild one is, it looks white, it comes off translucent. Smells a bit like glue. Alright, it feels kind of like glue. I mean, not like I rub glue on my face. Kind of lotion-y, I suppose. Okay, now the dreaded let these dry. Alright, so for foundation, I wanted to use my CC cream from It Cosmetics, and I'm going to. And the things that I really wanted to, because there's a lot of really good drugstore foundations, but in my search I wanted to find the cheapest one that had an SPF, and that was light and available at my Walmart. So the high-end side, I'm going to be using the It Cosmetics CC, Your Skin But Better CC Plus Color Correcting Cream SPF 50. And for the drugstore side, I'm going to be using the Wet n Wild Ultimate Match SPF 15 Liquid Foundation. This is in the shade Fair, and this is also, this is in the shade Ivory, which is the lightest shade they had. Right away, I don't know if you can tell on camera, this one's a lot more pink, but I'm kind of hoping that when I put all the rest of the makeup on, you won't really notice it. So I'm going to be using just a pump and a half of that. So I'm just going to put that on. To blend it in, I'm going to be using my beauty blender. This is the original, sorry it's dirty. This is the original pink, and it's just damp. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead with the drugstore side. This, I don't like glass bottle like this because it's really hard to get product out without splashing it everywhere. See, it's already kind of like a more pinky color. We'll work with it, okay? We will work with it. It is what we do. It's not, I don't know, like, hello. Maybe I'm just doing it wrong. Coverage on this feels a bit sheer. The amount I'm using, which is, I suppose it's good. It's not cakey. Okay, so to blend this in, I'm gonna be using the Real Techniques sponge. This is basically the closest dupe to the beauty blender that you're gonna find at the drugstore that is just as nice. I mean, there is a squishability difference, but it's really, really, really good. Especially when it's damp, it does blend very, very nicely. Okay, there is a little bit of a difference. This side covered a lot better, which is funny because this is a CC cream and this was a foundation. Now we're moving on to concealer. For my high-end side, I'm going to be using the MAC Studio Finish Concealer SPF 35 in NC 15, and it's just in this little pod there. It covers really well. So I wanted to get kind of a sticky, creamy concealer to match it. So I picked up this Maybelline Coverstick here, and this is in the shade Ivory. So we'll see. I'm gonna go with the MAC. I'm gonna use my finger to apply this because it kind of warms up. I could use an oil with it, but I didn't want to add that extra feature because I don't know. I didn't see any drugstore beauty oils. Okay, and now I'm going to go in with the cover stick. Oh. Okay. Well, that's pigmented. I'm just gonna blend this out a little bit with the beauty blender. Then my Real Techniques sponge. Okay, that's both sides all blended out. So let's set those. So for setting, for the high-end side, I'm going to be using the Too Faced Primed Poreless Skin Smoothing Pressed Powder, and for the drugstore side I'm going to be using the e.l.f. Perfect Finish HD powder in the shade Clear. Both of these come with their own kind of little sponges or applicators, and so I'm just going to be using those. This one comes with a sponge, this one came with a little powder puff. I don't know if that makes a difference for some. Okay, right away, this one is a lot of white. It says it's translucent. It's very white. It would cause flashback for sure. Don't go in too heavy-handed with it. But both seem to set pretty well. Now let's move on to bronzer. So for the high-end side, I'm going to be using the Mercier bronzer in 03. And that's just this kind of baked color there. And for the drugstore side, I'm going to be using this e.l.f. Compact St. Lucia? Anyway, it comes with a blush and bronzer. It looks like the NARS one. I didn't have the NARS one to compare to, so I just thought I'd try a different bronzer. This has shimmer in both the bronzer and in the blush, and this Laura Mercier bronzer does not have shimmer in it, so it's not exactly a dupe, but they're both kind of a warm brown, so I'm just gonna go with that. For brushes, this is a kathyywood brush from Shoppers Drug Mart, and it's the brush I kind of use for all my bronzer, but it technically is Drugstore, so I'm going to be using it for both the blush and the bronzer. I'm just going to be wiping it off in between. And for the high-end bronzer, I'm going to be using it Cosmetics, and this is a dual-ended brush. This is the Heavenly Luxe Complexion Perfection. This end is an all-over face brush, and this brush is a concealer brush, so we're going to be using the all-over brush head to be doing our bronzer. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the e.l.f. This bronzer is pigmented. Wow, I didn't expect that. Oh my goodness. Oh right, so I went in a little bit heavier thinking it wasn't going to be as pigmented. So definitely gonna have to blend that out. For blush, I'm just gonna use this blush here, and so I wanted to kind of find a soft, shimmery pink that could kind of go along with that. So for the high-end side, I'm going to be using this Too Faced Perfect Blush? Perfect Flush. Perfect Flush Blush. And this is in the shade Beach. So if you kind of notice, it's 3 kind of colors. I'm going to be focusing more on the peachy side. So for my brush for this one, I'm going to be using the IT Cosmetics, I think it's Heavenly Luxe brush, a blush brush, and it's my favorite blush brush. So I'm going to be going in with that just there. And I'll just pour. I'm going to be using the same face contour brush for the Drugstore side. I wiped it off. Okay, so that's pretty pigmented. Wow! On camera, these just look like stripes. Don't worry, I'm gonna blend them out. So I'm gonna be cheating for blending them out. I just have one big, thick, domy brush. That is my IT Cosmetics. So that is my cheating for this video. I'm just gonna blend it all in with this big, fluffy brush. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go ahead and get to the eyes. So, I think to prime the eyes, I'm just going to go back in with the 2 concealers. I have to say, I'm so impressed with this little concealer. It was like $7. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, so for eyes, for the high-end side, we are going to be using the Modern Renaissance palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills. Sorry, I have all my good side and my affordable side mixed up on the table here. That's not confusing at all. Just let me, 1 second. Okay, so for my Drugstore side, I am going to be using the e.l.f. Cosmetics. This is their new holiday palette. You get eyeshadows and you get blushes and bronzers in the compact underneath. This is kind of what it more or less looks like. Nice big mirror. It is a nice mirror too. It's not like one of those plasticky. It's like, it's a good mirror. I'm gonna be starting, this is gonna be a very simple eye look. I'm gonna be going in with Antique Bronze, and I'm going to be using just the brush that came with the palette for that. Dip in gently, tap off. And the pigment in this palette is just incredible. So it's really hard to find a dupe for the pigment payoff in this palette, but I'm going to be using my fingers to be putting on the e.l.f. eyeshadows and just blending them out with this brush that I picked up at Walmart. It's still Spa Essentials. It's just their, it's the blending brush. It's actually really nice. It's really dense, so hopefully it will blend nicely. I'm going to be taking this shade right here. It's not a perfect dupe, but it's pretty close. Like, I'll swatch them. One's a little bit more pink, but the shimmer's kind of there. This one is from e.l.f. This one is from Anastasia, so you know, they're both shimmery, red hued colors. So I'm just gonna be putting that on with my finger and blending it out with the brush. Also, to deepen this color up, because this color is definitely darker than this color, I'm just going to be adding this shade here. It's just a kind of brown. It's not super duper pigmented, but when I add the brown to the swatch, it does darken it a little, so it'll kind of match more so. For lid color, I'm going to be using Mercier, this top shimmer shade here, and for the e.l.f. I'm going to be using this shade. There's no names on them. Both are shimmery, light color. I'll do a swatch. So, can you even see that? Oh my god. The one on the top is e.l.f., the one on the bottom is Anastasia. The Anastasia one, of course, is a little bit more pigmented, but they're both the same color, and if you pack it on enough, you'll get a similar payoff. So for eyeliner, for the high-end side, we're going to be using the Kat Von D tattoo liner. This is in travel size, but small but mighty. And for the drugstore side, we're going to be using, this is the Annabelle Eye Ink Liquid Eyeliner Duo in black. This one's in Trooper. They're both like a marker type of eyeliner. I'm going to be using the shorter, thicker end, and I'll just go ahead and apply. And now we're going to go in with the Kat Von D Tattoo Liner. Okay, so I felt like both applied pretty much the same. They're both, you know, the Kat Von D is a little bit darker, a little bit less feathery, I guess. So now I'm going to be going in with mascara. These two kind of remind me of each other. The drugstore side, I'm going to be using the Colossal Spider Effect by Maybelline, and it was $6 maybe. To the Benefit RollerLash mascara, and this was $31. Anyway, so I'm going to go in and apply. Careful with this mascara because it will clump on you. If you don't go in too heavy with it and you're just careful, it won't clump too much on you. like to whiten my inner corners and waterline, I only use the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil. And it's technically from the drugstore, so I guess that's another cheating. I'm going to be doing the video. I'm using it on both sides. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I already found something I love from the drugstore. I'm not going to really want to buy something from like Sephora for more money just for the sake of spending more money. For brows, however, for the high-end side, I'm going to be going in with the Coverall by Benefit. It's in this little pot here, and it just, the top unscrews. You take the very bit of the tip off, plug it back in. There's your brush. Unscrew it, and there you go. I'm going to be comparing it to the Milani Stay Put Brow color, and it's just a little pot with a brush with a spoolie. Oh, for the drugstore side, I'm just gonna brush all this up. Now, I do like this a lot. It isn't too crazy or too dry. It didn't dry out. I had this since the summer, and it's still pretty pigmented and creamy. Not as creamy though as the Coverall. Okay, so not any crazy difference. Lips. So for this was difficult because I love liquid lipsticks, and I was bound and determined that I'm going to be doing a liquid lipstick. I swatched so much, and I came up with a dupe for the Kat Von D Bow and Arrow. I'm going to be using the NYX Liquid Suede Cream Lipstick in the shade Sandstorm. Then, starting with the Kat Von D. And then the NYX. Very similar, and they will dry down to be pretty much the exact same color. So for highlighter, I'm going to be going back into the e.l.f. palette, and I'm going to be using this top color up here. It's kind of like a champagne color to kind of match the BECCA and Jaclyn Hill palette, and I'm just going to be using Champagne Pop. I'm going to be putting that on with my fingers. And I'm going to be taking this e.l.f. color. Now I'll swatch them on my hand. Okay, so I don't know if you can really see. No, not e.l.f. The top one is Jaclyn Hill, and the bottom one is the e.l.f. Basically, they look identical. And of course, the pigmentation in the Champagne Pop is a little bit more robust, but basically it's the same color. Okay, so I've worn this for a bit, and I have to say they both wear quite well. I did eat, so I was looking at my lipstick for that, and I mean, they both stayed pretty well. The color, everything looks, you know, really, really good. Well, I will say the foundation is not really my favorite thing. It was hard to get out of the bottle, and it was kind of it felt thin. But this concealer was probably the thing that surprised me the most out of everything. It was $7 and really similar to this $25 concealer. You know, I would use this again. I would use this daily. I also really liked the bronzer in this little pack here. Also, my Real Techniques sponge is a pretty good dupe for the Beauty Blender. This, the powder, the translucent setting powder, comes off very white. It's a little chalky, not my favorite, but it works if you're in a pinch. So basically the takeaway is mostly everything is dupeable, and I feel like the Eyes of Space palette does a pretty good job of duping some of the Mono Renaissance. Play around. Sometimes the things you pay the money for are totally worth it, and other times you can get away with paying less. It's really up to you, whatever you feel like you want to invest in or you want to save on, but I just thought I'd give you an overall look of something similar, very wearable, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and maybe you'll try a few new products from either Sephora or from Walmart. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope to see you all in future videos. Cheers.